The level of expertise within these walls is second to none, and I can confidently declare my trust in the capacity of the able young brains I see today to help the bank fulfill its mandate.
Sure.
Of course, we have always been there to help them, to help bring temperature down when the heat threatens to overpower everyone.
Sure.
We have been on hand to help open doors, but at home, both at home and abroad. So we have come to our beautiful home to see and thank the brainpower managing our beloved city, to encourage you to continue in your dedicated service and to reassure you that whenever you feel the need for a shoulder to cry on, the doors are open.
Sure.
You are responsible for the national currency, and you are also responsible for fixing the interests that determine the rate at which we can borrow money.
Sure.
It is a fact of history that when the currency is healthy, the economy bristles with opportunities. The people are able to use the opportunities to create business. The business allows the people to create jobs and ultimately work in wealth. When the city wobbles, even the tsunami can be less destructive.
Sure.
Over the past year, after a difficult period, we have begun to breathe easy as the city stabilizes on the foreign exchange market.
Sure.
We recognize these are only the early stools of progress, and one will do well to be careful not to start feasting, as the governor said, before the true state of the harvest is known.
Sure.
Nonetheless, we think it is appropriate to acknowledge the discernible shift in direction and to encourage you to take any measure that will keep us on the right trajectory.
Santamasu TV, yes, Somosompa.
Times are changing.
Ghana mine, Mabusia penny me swans and pananam. Canina near Titiamo rim, yes, then we are not so much one so Adani Adeswa, and Nedie, Adabov Company, was Santi Memu, Abedumie. I'm a dance bo I am re, and chance I would draw a papa. I would do good dance with Madame Humi, Ebi to say, long span self lock, IBR, housing standard, hero tiles and shingles, steel trusses and woodworks, roofing sheets, squares, a fay, roofing nose, Nina, a dime, Ebuniama, Adabov Company, at the Abebway, your office ankasa ewo ehwea overseas junction and na baby adwumakui factory nankasa wo no e infense a ye ben moba asoro no e ma remfi say wanim di fo wo mo de sanchensi ebegu dan so e de ama wo empo se wuni obi a obetimi afre yen e wo 0245385109 Adabov Company Limited say ye dan so body a ene ye na wo mo eye osimpitimpim
Yankopon ayaya dom ama menu mienu ye nyina ye hu eye enede ye mobibia akwaba ema obibia afihia pa an afi enko emra emesan ye hu afi samri na ne nyina ededa no akwemu sade menu mienu nyina ye hwehwe no na busia ansa na ye beko enadwumadie ne so we de mefa eye akonya we so ene asantemai crew ni nyina na mapa obibia achew ewo eye official platform e fan page no de ebeda so anaka me akoye se eye office line na ha kene de keka obebre ne obebre na course ntimesro se won so wunya sa message ni bi se send ma men send for na Mr. Mondi ekwan so mofa encheyen na enye ye niamma munim sa technical issues etoda ne ma bebre na ekos migidi se na me hudonti o de ebecheyen era wunyina se wo bia kwaba e de ba eye afi impimienu ene aduonu insia 2026 ache nyame ayadom bibia abanewi na bebre ena esi afia etwemu nanso ye ne hwan ebi so odomankoma se de si ye no adenti enoma ne sie tede ne nyina ama eye twedi ampon nyanko pon abusia de ye de efi afia se ene se yewra na se tutu abebio nyame kese opem so ai dudu obribie ye king Solomon bakope ono ena eye afiwei ye de no ehye ase na sen ene esidi yewra ehye ase ye si afiwei mu no amai bi atukwan kwa amai bi me kasa asa wotemase amai bi ye tukwan ede ko oman mu ye nyina ye nim de ekoso won tentan fidie ne so de wanya bi ahwe ne de wate se ye ra na se tutu abebio ye si ye afiwei mo pepon bo so mi ya no ye wura akọ aprobo kakra ewo eye enkabumpuni mantemu enti asanteman etukwan ekọ Ghana man mu aha sabe pepe ena ete yewra edi kan no ordinary chere mu ewo IGP ahye IGP to ne nsa edi free yewra ka chere ne se wo sere na afi wei no opese security ho nsensem no ekototin na enema wo so mo hwe edi gu akwan mu ne nyina etimi ekoso ede ema omo enti no ono de na wonim se na setutu abebio enko a na woto ne nsa ede frɛ na obetimi sebi akyerɛkyerɛ wo mo ekwan pa ba bia wo se ode ade ne fa ye ba bia ni kwan so mo fa enti niam anko ye amfa ma IGP ene Ghana police no eno na omoto nsa ede frɛ ye nwura sa afi ahyase de omo sere na ada womra na sebi o meri sebibi emfa enkyerɛ a police fa hoban bofo mo my Ghana mu nya said de be ya Ghana asantema betimi afa ne ntoma pefra na ankoye sebi afi etwa mu no enema bi esi ya no munim ho hwe de keka ho nyina no ensan repeat ne ho ewo afi fufuri a yesim yewura na setuso abebio de sebi ose oyo okopie mu na de course ni nyina menu mienu nyina yenso yehu bi na afei so free honom na ode nani etwere mu ewo Bank of Ghana ye ka Bank of Ghana che se eno no sikasem ye Ghana ye sikasem ho asem na ye ka every say yenwura enko a na Ghana ekọ obusa na se bia mfa ma wo mo a omba yenwura na so yenwura nko a na kasa na ba bia ayedin and I'm so Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama etonensa ede efre na se tutu abebio enti yenwura ekopie mu ewo na onim se yenwura so de yenama ededom na enam yenwura na se tutu ne ho efredom enti asanteman nyina ekopie mu ewo Bank of Ghana na ohye yenwura na rival ende ke kan bebre na enye obi na beka cho se bio yedodo brie na akopie mu ewo meka se Ghana memo ana meka se nkran memo yemfa ne se nkran memo na Ghana memo ye asante na ka se ye de ho what I say yenwura ekopie mu ewo honom na nima bebre na ekoso ewo ho efa Ghana yesika nsensem ho efa ye ma ye ne omo ete o my Ghana mu anum sei wo mo adesua mu education and they ka ho bebre political issues enso kakra science so na traditional issues enso kakra ekoso ewo honom na yenwura na se tutu ekodru honom no so de na ehia ese efata se obeka ede atre wo mo Bank of Ghana ene empanifo mo atwa ede ehiem ho nananom a wo nyina aka ho ekoye no ensema na wo se yenwura na se tutu abebio ede eto na manfo anim ema won hu se Ghana said the economy no esi eko ene said the neme bia sebio ewo se wo mo hwe na wo mo digu akwan mu efiri se ye ka bibia mo Bank of Ghana mo na ye beka se Ghana monsa ehye yeso what I say ye dan mo menka ne sa mo abasa ene kata yeso ye dan mo enti enema ba ku mienu bia ewo ho no ma yenwura enotisi ya wo hu se sa enema we die anka enye ne kwan so no na emo mo betimi asesa no aye ne kwan for se de be ya dan de nyina o man Ghana yesika sem no ebe toso akọ afa ne ntoma pa ede efra ene enema bebre ho yenwura ede ensem dodo na atu edwa na summary de yentwe yani na yenkon abra yenwura ebedru ye MC honom welcome address and they ka ho ni nyina ede wieye no Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama ede ensembi atudwa abusia ye monitor ni enkohwemre ba de obia no ye de ewrade ebeto asode ama
quite an outstanding leader. So ladies and gentlemen, in front of you we have the venerable governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama. Please give him a round of applause to give us the official welcome remarks.
Thank you very much. Your Majesty, Otumfuo Tutu II, Santini, Nanayima and Nananom, honored elders and members of your delegation, distinguished members of our board, management and staff of the Bank of Ghana, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor on behalf of the board of the bank and also on behalf of management and staff of the Bank of Ghana to warmly welcome Your Majesty to the Central Bank. Otumfuo, Ghana has long benefited from your brand of leadership. Your quiet, steady, and deeply anchored In wisdom, in moments of national tension, you have reminded us, Nana, that authority is not exercised through noise or fuss, but through balance, through restraint, and moral clarity. That instinct, Nana, for stability has made your voice relevant, not only in matters of chieftaincy and social cohesion, but also in the broader national conversation about development, discipline, and progress. Nana, I recall very clearly the last time the board and management, including myself and the other two governors of the Bank of Ghana, we paid homage to Your Majesty at Menchia. On that occasion, Nana, you asked us a question. That question was so simple and profound. Nana, you observed that the cedi was appreciating at the time against the US dollar. And Nana, you asked whether that appreciation was sustainable. Nana, it was a legitimate question for us, one that went beyond the exchange rate itself to the deeper issue of credibility. It was a question that many Ghanaians were asking quietly at the time in their homes, in their shops, and in their offices. And we heard it all. They asked us, is this improvement real? Will it last? Nana, I am pleased to say that since then, since our visit to you, the underlying foundations of the economy have strengthened in important ways. Permit me to say just a few. Inflation, which is the first one, it stood at 23.8% in December 2024. Inflation has fallen sharply since then. By October this year, it got to as low as 8%, and by November, it got to 6.3%. This morning, we woke up to the news that for December, that is the end of last year, inflation got down to 5.4%. Now, I must say that this trend reflected the broad-based disinflation process across both food and non-food items. Certainly, Nana, these have not happened by accident. It is the result of sustained monetary discipline that we brought on board, the improved food supply conditions that existed throughout 2025, and our prayer is that this continues, and of course, the closer coordination across key policy institutions. That is the Bank of Ghana and also the Ministry of Finance. We are like cousins, and we have to relate with each other all the time. Nana, as inflation pressures eased and expectations began to re-anchor, the Bank of Ghana was able to recalibrate its policy stance carefully. The monetary policy rate was reduced in steps since we came in from 27% to 18% as at our last meeting in November last year, striking a balance between preserving hard-won disinflation gains and supporting a recovery in credit and economic activity. Nana, market rates have followed this trend, easing financial conditions while maintaining prudence. And Nana, I have said on many occasions that my prayer and my wish is that by the end of my tenure, my 4-year tenure, that lending rates will not be more than 10% in this country. Nana, on the external front, buffers have also been rebuilt. Our gross international reserves, which is the variable we use to assess our resilience as a country. Our international reserves have risen to above $13.8 billion, and this is historic. Nana, I joined the bank since 1995, and I've never seen such figures since then. So this is historic. And in terms of imports cover, we normally use the imports cover to also express the international reserves level. We are looking at close to 6 months of imports cover. It's never happened in the history of the bank. Our trade performance has improved and confidence in macroeconomic management has strengthened. And against this backdrop, Your Majesty, the question that you asked us in Mensia about the CD deserves a clear answer. Nana, we are happy to report that the CD ended the year in a much stronger position also than many would have anticipated a year ago. According to Forbes, a year-end level of about 10.67 per US dollar placed the CD among the stronger performing currencies on the African continent. This outcome, Nana, reflects not only improved sentiment, but also better fundamentals, also stronger reserves, reduced inflation, and restored policy credibility. However, Nana, we remain careful in all these, not to confuse improvement with performance, with permanence. Exchange rate stability is not something that can be declared. It must be earned and earned continuously. A currency remains strong, Nana, only when the real economy beneath it is productive. Only when the economy beneath it is competitive. And only when the economy beneath it is disciplined. And that is why we see the CD's performance not as a victory lap, but as a responsibility. Sustainability, Nana, as Your Majesty rightly implied in your question, rests on deeper choices. And let me name a few: fiscal restraint instead of excess, production over consumption, exports over imports, and long-term thinking over short-term comfort. Nana, these are not technical matters alone. They are matters of national values and conduct. And in this respect, Otumfuo, your public counsel over the years has been remarkably consistent. Nana, you have repeatedly urged leaders to reduce waste. You have urged leaders to protect the public resources. And you have urged leaders to focus on development that creates real opportunity for ordinary Ghanaians. Nana, you have spoken about the need to empower Ghanaian enterprise, to support education, and to build an economy that produces, not merely an economy that trades. Nana, these messages align closely with what economic history teaches us, and that is that prosperity follows discipline and stability follows credibility. Nana, your visit today is therefore not merely symbolic to us at the Bank of Ghana. It is very, very timely. Ghana's recovery, as we've seen so far, must now move beyond better statistics to better livelihoods for Ghanaians. It must translate into jobs for the youth, stronger local industry, affordable credits for enterprises, and that does not reignite inflation, and a financial system that supports enterprise and long-term investment. Nana, the Bank of Ghana is fully committed to playing its role firmly, independently, and professionally, so that the gains we are beginning to see will become durable and inclusive. Nana, we are grateful for your presence, your counsel, and your lifelong commitment to peace, unity, and national progress. Nana, your leadership reminds us that stability, whether social or economic, is built and built patiently, protected deliberately, and sustained through collective responsibility. Akwaba, Otumfuo, Bedase.
Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama and Yakutie nanodisem ewo inshemwa ekoso ewo Bank of Ghana and then Asei Tutu abebio na chasane tintini de tetia mu nyina no efri abra omo etu anamo eba ye yankasa ye wura na Asei Tutu abebio ena ase no ombedru na ase ensem kakra ye wura ebisa womo ene eniema ye wura eka se omo hwe no mo fa eniema toto akwan mu ye no efri sa bre no ede ba besi eye enede ya sa inhyemu we etimi akoso ama ye wura na Asei Tutu abebio efri asantema ba kopie mo Ghana man mu abibia etimi akoso no de o ka se eniema ye wura eka kire no ne afutu ode mo omo nyina no omo edi so pepepepepepe na omo de ke say de eye New Bank of Ghana no omo de omo ebeka se say no or regarding no say monuments to our generation na chese eniema omudi egu akwam nyina no ebe laste an ebe ka hoda say de omo eye no otoko so to as say dan nyina ya na yewura eka eye eniema bebre eho ensensem omo ehwe efa inflation de ka ho ni nyina no eye wo no na pen we su de enkonko se the tenure of office no ebe so eno de ogidi pa say eniema ba ku mienu bi a eto chima anye yie ewo eye Bank of Ghana no ogidi say wono ankasa sa bre ya wono ena se bi ote so wo hwe say omudi yie betu yie ene se de Ghana cedi no ebefa na ntuma pa ede efra no ono de ogidi pa say ento nkoso se on free eye sa office ono de na bibia aye boko ede ama eye o my Ghana eni ensika ho insensem bebre owie ye no ye wura na Asei Tutu abebiu enso ede nensem etudwa sei eno kai
Headquarters, the people who are responsible for keeping us safe. Sure. Today, It is our honor to be in the citadel of the great institution whose mandate ultimately determines whether we have shelter over our heads, food on the table, and are able to provide for the education of our children and healthcare for our families.
Sure.
That, in short, summarizes the remit of the Bank of Ghana. And we are grateful to our respected governor, my son here, who, when he became the second deputy governor, I held his hands, and he's now the governor here sitting in this chair.
Sure.
And his deputies and the management for the kind invitation for us to be here today.
Sure.
Hardly do I come to Accra, so I've been spoken to about Bank of Ghana building, but then I've not even entered or seen the edifice till today. So I thank you very much for honoring me with this invitation.
Sure.
We are honored to be received by the entire team, including the Monetary Policy Committee, and particularly grateful for the opportunity to inspect your sparkling, bright new edifice. As my daughter, Mrs. King, said, that it is such an edifice that you can't miss. And I realized that from the open air when I was walking there, I think when you walk in here, your brains will be there like that to work properly for me.
Sure.
It is truly a magnificent edifice, truly fully benefiting the authority and power of the institution and the spirit and energy of the nation. It is without doubt a monument to our generation which will endure through time, and I mince no words in applauding the bank for the courageous commitment to deliver.
Sure.
I hope, Governor, that it inspires your staff to raise their performance to a level befitting the new environment.
Sure.
Of course, I do not forget, Governor and the deputies and your team, that this is the Bank of Ghana. You see, I've come to the view that when the scientists tell us that the higher you go, the cooler it becomes, they do not include institutions like the Bank of Ghana. Because in my experience dealing with all the governors of the bank during our reign, it's been evident that in this hallowed environment, the heat that encases you at the top is such that not even the combined energies of all the manpower, no, the brain power at your disposal, can generate sufficient power to cool them down.
Sure.
It is not nearly as comfortable as all the trappings may suggest. And yet, it is a job that must be done, and done well.
Sure.
And we are always enthralled by the incredible dedication we see here. The level of expertise within these walls is second to none, and I can confidently declare my trust in the capacity of the able young brains I see today to help the bank fulfill its mandate.
Sure.
Of course, we have always been there to help them, to help bring temperature down when the heat threatens to overpower everyone.
Sure.
We have been on hand to help open doors, but at home, both at home and abroad. So we have come to our beautiful home to see and thank the brainpower managing our beloved city, to encourage you to continue in your dedicated service, and to reassure you that whenever you feel the need for a shoulder to cry on, the doors are open.
Sure.
In accordance with our tradition, the language the traditional ruler speaks must be perfectly understandable to the ordinary trotro passenger. So when we speak of the mandate of the bank and the work you do, we do so without any pretentious jargons and simple layman's language, so that anyone from the ordinary person to the invested on can understand.
Sure.
I have summarized the mandate of the bank as that which will ultimately determine whether we have a roof over our heads, food on the table, clothes to wear, and the ability to provide for our education and healthcare.
Sure.
That is no exaggeration. You are responsible for the national currency, and you are also responsible for fixing the interests that determine the rate at which we can borrow money.
Sure.
It is a fact of history that when the currency is healthy, the economy bristles with opportunities. The people are able to use the opportunities to create business. The business allows the people to create jobs and ultimately work in wealth. When the city wobbles, even the tsunami can be less destructive.
Sure.
Over the past year, after a difficult period, we have begun to breathe easy as the cedi stabilizes on the foreign exchange market.
Sure.
We recognize these are only the early stools of progress, and one will do well to be careful not to start feasting, as the governor said, before the true state of the harvest is known.
Sure.
Nonetheless, we think it is appropriate to acknowledge the discernible shift in direction and to encourage you to take any measure that will keep us on the right trajectory. So I'm here to encourage you.
Sure.
We have come not to preach to the experts, because you are the experts. We are just laymen living in Manchia, not knowing anything to do, but we have to fall on you.
Sure.
And I said to the governor and his two deputies that once I'm here with 2-3 people who have the money, this year I'll be rich.
Sure.
We have come not to preach to the experts, but to listen, and I thank the governor for the arrangements for a private session where we can exchange views on issues that must necessarily be heard behind closed doors.
Sure.
I hope the unavoidable attention being paid to the city does not mean we are relegating the second mandate of the bank, which has to do with interest rates, to the back burner. I noticed that interest rates too have begun coming down, but from past experience, we are going to find ways of accelerating the pace.
Sure.
Let me be as blunt as I can. No amount of investment by government on its own can scratch the surface of what we need to give ourselves a sound economy.
Sure.
Nor can we expect in this era of international discord to rely on foreign investments of any significance. This moment calls for a massive push to stimulate domestic private investment in industry. That cannot happen with interest at their current cutthroat rate and level. The challenge I leave with your creative brains is to fashion how you move the economy from the crippling high interest regime to the level where it becomes a stimulant of business and wealth creation.
Sure.
The second issue I wish to touch on is the bank of the public in the public sphere. This is a unique institution with a mandate that ultimately affects every citizen of the land. Ideally, this citadel should be a fortress, insulated from the strings and arrows of political warfare. Whatever it is, we should think twice before we do anything which has the capacity to cast a stain on the integrity of the bank.
Sure.
I will appeal to the nation, to both sides of the political divide, to give the governor, my son, and his team a chance. Give them the respect and the space to perform their professional duties. Support them along the right path and offer counsel as necessary for the good of the bank.
Sure.
This is our bank. We have entrusted to them. It is our lives we have placed in their hands. If they fail, we risk collapse.
Sure.
If they succeed, we walk in wealth and glory. Thank you, my son, Governor.
Sure.
Thank you, the deputies and the management board. Thank you also for the MPC and the executive.
Sure.
Thank you, management and staff. May we be showered with the blessings of peace, prosperity, wealth, and happiness to the glory of God and Mother Ghana. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Nasa Tutu abebio ya mekese ai asanteman nyina ene Ghana nyina ai ye King Solomon ba kope yewra enso ede na no sem etudwe no na ye nyina ye ko ekotie ye na yewra ekasa no de ye mede ewo mu ene se waka enema ne bebre waka a eje omo se sa new Bank of Ghana Square na se ya babe no ema ne meye se enema ne so ba betete anase de bisa be kosoro and the inflation be adwuno na afei o ka kire mo se monhwe se sa nema we nyina mo de agu akwama bibia ekoso se de mo pe no o ka de kire staff ni nyina adwayefo nyina ne se monhwe mo kena na monhwe se enema bia ebetimi akotote de ama omo ene Ghana ye sikasem enso nyina owieye na ode ebo mutu aso ewo politicians nanso eho amanyokufo no ode eto aso ma wo mo se monhwe ye na wo bia afa ne nsensem ankwankofra Bank of Ghana se ba bia adru no ye ma omo respect no every say they deserve it. Enti yema more respect na yema wo mo kwan na enema wo mo ankasa e wo se wo mo ye no wo mo entimi enye na yenjai se mutwintwa wo mo akwan mu ene we da ha echna we ye se ne de ka ho bebre enti enema we ende he ka ho bebre ena yera na se tutu abebio enso ede atu dwa ede fa eye Bank of Ghana eye inhyiamu a ekoso ewo eye wone eye sa enkofo no so entem na we nyina echi ewie no na Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama assign editor so na all trim ekatre nyina yese wo da na se tu abebi o ase pa if we say obi bia okọ na se tu abebi o na se bi okọje enchechre no wonya ehua wa enema na wo pese wo ye nyina etimi ekọ sede ese otwem se efri bra omo ankasa eba ye wura na se o menhia fikasi mu no efri sada no enema atoto ye amomo sede omo esi epe no enti no omo da ye wura na se tutu abebi o ase ene ekwan a osi efa so ebu eye onoa ne man na wo kyerɛkyerɛ wo mu nyina akwan de keka ho bebre na nanom enso agi wo mu de enso ewo mu enti sei de ya ka kyerɛ obi bia ne se ye nyina yenya baako especially politicians na dan de nyamso amode tetemu ba o my Ghana mu ne we da ha we fa ha we sei no mumba omokwan o ma Ghana Bank of Ghana mo omokwan na wo mo ankasa enye enema wo mu nim se betimi aboa Ghana ya santeman ni nyina no no mo ankasa enhwe na omo ensisi entoto ni nyina yesre mo ma obia emfa nema bia emeforefore omo ensensem na kyese sapepepe na etienti dia kwaso de ye di fi eye afiwei enso aseno no ni nyina eye yan ntimi bisa se ohene akoba bi ama ye twa no de na ba beto eye ntan fidie ne so ana efiri abra wo pia firi na himfi akwakodu ba bi a ewo se wokọ no eni de kwaso mi bisa ohene no aya ye ni bia na ne video saying another entertain video so questions to the gods nti abusia de ekomu ewo eye enkrabumpuni mantemu abra yewura na se tu abebio ekopie mu ewo eye ho nhyiamu ana ewo se yewura ekọ na okotena na okohwe na enema ewo se odigu akwan mu ede ma omu nyina ne se bia futu a ewo se ode ma omu sade be ya dwumadi a wodi bia no chima bia ento ewo eye eho abra yesi eye afefufuro yi mu enti sa pepe na etie we no eye historic what I say a historic pa Sarah na se tu abebio ebobo anan na enema Ghana eto ensa ede afro omo hwehwe ometu omo nan aba na ansa friend se wono ene kan bia enti omra na omehwe na won kan bi efa ema Ghana ma yempe we a yepedin enti de akoso enso eno no ensam ne de yegusu a edi ni nyina achi enti aka hwe obi na obi nso kan hwe obi na obi kan hwe obi Asantema so TV ya sign aba biem enti afi we so ya sign ne moa ena eba beye adwuma ye ko holidays ene yaba ye resume yaba betena se ti mesre mo a mon kan hwe obi na mon kan hwe adofo nyina se ye nyina ya sign aba eba beye adwuma ebiem ti subscribers me fan page for ena afi so ye me callers ene me comment section for ni nyina ebusia ya sign aba biem enti no ye nyina yenka mom na yenka eja enso enum na afiwe de oho bia no yenfa enso mo nyina ye gina akwanya we so aka kire mo se eye berma Osei hwede otoso mienu adwahene se yenfa eye tentan fidie so ene Asantema so TV ne ye na obi bia ase se eye abra na odi ne 10th anniversary no ye nyina ye de odo ekobo odom eboa no ema bibia etimi ekoso se de na ohwe age ne nsem enti ye gina Asantema so TV ne ada obi bia ase aman he na mo baaye abrempon a mo baaye mo a omufri achichwe ne bencheye aban mu nkofo nso a mo baaye ede odo ebeba odom eka ne ho ema bibia eye sede na ohwehwe no ose ye ngina eye afidie so na ye na mo nyina mo ase sede ne da nyina oto ne nsa ede efremo ewo ne dwumadie bia mu a sebi mo ntwena no enwofom na mo ba ebe hye no animonyam oda mo nyina enso ase na omam bibia nso afisha pa ene happy new year ebusia Grand Echo Cabanas Adabov Steel Complex Limited and afiso Asantema so professional photo studios and edit drete eso masne na mekoso a ekanfo eye the adult age ventures and so ede amawo onwa na eya efa me ankasa mentare eho eka efa no eye Ghana ya santima mu hanom say your traditional wear and African wear ni nyina e ma wigs bags and they can be brave the adult age ventures and adane den nyina e ya assortment so masne e ma meeting be e be gina e ye dwumadi so nti me kan fo e de amawo abusia ha e na ebre e ma me kwan ama ene dwumadi me de ni nyina esi de beto fom bia no asantima so tv ya betna ha na e de ni nyina asom dwumadi mediane e kwa parka na say so be obi rasa ma santese mu ya me e di na ye nana Akia Adoma Shrikwa. Big ups to my crew, Billy and Afeso, Eye Randy Makramo.
Please, wait here. Come in here, please. That's it. Go back.
The Bank of Ghana.
Asantemaso TV, yes, so mosompa.